Alright. First off, you want to start by loosening off your rim locks. On these, I use 2 rim locks whenever I run a Mousse, just for safety, just in case. I have had tyres come off on the opposite side of the rim lock, so always just run a rim lock directly opposite the other rim lock. First, I'll either just push down with my foot to break the bead, but because we've got this Ballard's tyre changer, I normally just go around like this, and I'll push it down where the rim locks are. It's going to be hard. But sometimes they come down. Then what you want to do is, I normally start from one rim lock, push down like that, and then make sure it goes all the way in. And then I'll go probably 1, 2, almost to 3 spokes, and then I'll go in and I'll repeat this with all 5 of my levers. In there. And then this part's normally pretty easy. Just push down with your foot and slide that in, like just like that. Now that it's all off, I want to flip it over to the other side. And then select where the smallest rim lock is. And I'll put one lever here, and I'll pull it over like this, and then I'll push this lever up in there, and then these go over, and that brings that rim lock over. And then I'll start from here, make sure it's directly opposite this, and I'll just push down on this. And what that does is it pushes the Mousse all the way out. I'll just pull it off here. So it pushes the Mousse out of the rim, and then that means it's easier to pop this tyre off. So pushing levers like this, it's normally a little bit difficult, this part. Sometimes if you've got a good tyre changer, it actually pushes it all down on this side and pushes it off, but this is the most effective way that I've found. Sort of just get all my levers pushing in like this, and then you'll have to stand up on your tyre. You get this first bit down and then push it down off the rim with just your heel, and it comes down off like this. And then that means pick it up, and out she comes. You just give the rim a good clean up. Doesn't have to be too crazy if it's not really, if you're already using mousses and there's grease in there, it doesn't really matter. I normally just make sure these are nice and clean on these areas, just because that's where the bead wants to sit, and you don't want grease where the bead is, because then that risks tyre moving around or it coming off the bead, stuff like that. So yeah, now we're going to get this Mousse and put it in this tyre. The tub of this, it's just silicone grease from ENDURO gear to lube up your tyres and your mousses. I never actually lube up the Mousse, I just lube up the tyre, because if you lube up the Mousse and then put it in, you risk getting it on your bead and it gets messy. So normally just put some on my hand, sit on your tyre like this so it opens up, and then I'll just give it a rub in there like this. And then I'll just go around the tyre and do this all the way around. This will stop the mousse from getting friction against the tyre, and it just makes the mousse last longer. This stuff's so much easier to spread than the other stuff, eh?
So Enduro gear's good stuff.
Yeah, Enduro gear, good stuff. No, it actually is. It's heaps easier to spread. Then I'll just rotate it on the other side and just get a little bit. Make sure you get all that sidewall there, sort of thing. Don't need to go too crazy, but I don't really know what the good measurement is. Normally when you buy a Duromousse tube, you'll actually get a little tube that comes with your Duromousse, or even just any mousse brand that you buy. I recommend Duromousses. And yeah, the little tube that you normally get with mousses is perfect amount for the tyres. Now removing the mousse from a tyre, normally just sit on it, grab my hand around it and then just pull up out to the side and out like that. Ooh. And same story with the new tyre, sit on it, push it in, and just work your way around. This mousse here is done, how many hours?
Yeah, 55.
This mousse here is done about 55 hours, as you can see. It's looking pretty good. So I reckon one of these you could almost get 150, 200 hours. I heard of people getting about 300 hours out of a Duromousse before, but they're pretty good. And normally at this point, I'll clean up the tyre and then do a glove change. Alright, next up I'll sit the tyre on the rim and have the sprocket side up, because on a lot of tyres there's a rotation to the tyres, so obviously I've got my sprocket here and your tyre drives like this, so I just know that's easy, rotation goes that way. And then next up I want to find your biggest rim lock. Normally I run these big Motion Pro rim locks, they're very good, I like them. I'll normally swing that over to this side, and first job is you want to get your tyre and see how I'm coming underneath like that. You want to make sure it goes in underneath your rim lock, and you can obviously see on the underside, if you can get the camera there, that there's no rim lock sitting out. Then next up, when you get yourself a good set of levers, these rubber condor levers, found the best, you get 5 of them for 150 bucks and they work unreal. What I'll do is I'll just keep force on this side and then even use my knee on the other side to try and work my way around, just to push that one side of the bead on. And with your second rim lock, it does get a little bit difficult, but I do flip it over and pop it on, and you'll see that in a sec. You want to flip the tyre around, and you can see that the rim lock there is stuck there on the bead. You can tighten the rim locker up if you're struggling to get it over because it keeps moving up. So if you tighten that down. That's pretty tight there, and then should be able to get one of your levers and just pull it straight up, and then loosen that off. And that slid right down in there perfectly. So now I'll flip this back over. And see how the mousse is coming out here. Just make sure all your mousse is pushed down in like that. Perfect. Alright. Next up, you want to start at one of your rim lockers. I normally start at the biggest one. And I will get the lever onto the left hand side of it. And then pull it over. And then you can lock it onto that if you've got one of those. And then I'll go to the next one. A couple of spokes across. And then another one, a couple of spokes across. Now, as you can see, this has not fully seated yet. So on this, I normally just push it back. And if it doesn't seat, just needs another one over here probably. And then get your other lever and just push it in like that. And it's just set in there. It's popped right down. And then what you want to do is I normally work my way around to this rim lock, even take out just one of these levers, but you never want to finish on a rim lock, because if you finish on a rim lock it is very difficult. So I normally just work my way around and then I'll finish somewhere over here which is close to this lever. So we'll start doing that. At the start it'll be pretty easy, like so. And then as you can see, we're at a point where this rim locker needs pushing in. Might be loosening off a bit more. There we go. And then working your way around, and that's popped in. So right now you can see this is pretty far over. So it's obviously come up on the bead on this side. So what I do is push down and I get these levers down in here to make sure that bead stays down. If you got a set of spoons, that'll help. The spoons can come in handy because they can get down in there nice and well. And you want to place these spoons around the opposite side of where you're trying to get your tyre on. That one go in. And then even just get one of your bigger levers. And then I sort of stand on one of these. Get that over. Get that one in. And this last part's always a bitch, everyone knows. But, oh, there we go. On this side, the bead hasn't properly gone on. One way to fix this is you could ride down the street and this will flick on and then do your rim locks on. But we have installed a valve stem onto this. This is your car valve stem, and we drilled this out with use a 12mm drill bit, and this is just a tubeless valve that we stick in. So what we do is to stop air from coming out the rim lockers. So now we've got some O-rings and a washer. O-ring, put on either stem. Then washer I use on this one. And then you just want to do these up just so they tighten over the O-ring and stop air from getting out, like that. And you want to hit it with some air. So as you can see, here's the bead. It's popped off. There we go, it's popped on. Then just give it a good check around, make sure your bead's on. There's normally a little lip there that you can feel. And same with this side. Yeah, that's all good. And then you just back off your rim locks, take out the O-rings, and then do your rim locks up, and that's it, all done.